So, to recap the first 8 episodes of this miniseries, episode 1 talked about her internalizing the fact that she got catfished in the first ever episode. And then that led to trouble later in the season with Liberty and Coach Armstrong and with Manny. Season episode 2 was season 2 when she basically was upset that her mom would date her teacher, which is natural. But that wasn't the only time that Emma blew up. She blew up about Spike wanting to abort baby Jack and calling Emma a mistake, and then her thing with Raditch in Fight for Your Right, in which nobody got it right. In season 3, we talk about Emma trying to find her father, and maybe the lack of a father figure is kind of why Emma is who she is and all that. And she realizes why Spike hid Shane from her and all that. Episode 4 led with the whole thing that she was upset that Chris would date Liberty because it would put her in a bad light, which doesn't make sense because why is Emma realizing and caring what people think of her? Unfortunately, that leads to Manny and Liberty disowning her, and then she tries to oust Rick, but then the school shuns her for protecting Rick when the chips were down, and then that led to her Sonny Emma phase. Episode 5 led to was just basically her relationship with Peter, which was ick to the 10th degree. I mean, why would someone like Emma want to date Peter, especially what Peter did to Manny? Episode 6 was that famous episode, If You Leave, in which she goes overboard trying to get people to listen to her ramblings about JT being stabbed because it's so close to her house and all that. And then, of course, Sean leaves her, and Emma is upset and wants to fake a pregnancy. Season 7 is when, Sean didn't really correspond with her, so she takes a Damien comment seriously and basically tries to use the Purple Dragon campaign to force people to think that she's normal. And then I talked about Emma, the college years, in which she put too much emphasis on trying to find friends, trying to find a boyfriend, and basically losing her academic spark. So, what about this episode? Well, this is basically it. If you heard what I said about season 3, or well, episode 3, I talked about the father figure. People are like, there's one main thing with Emma you forgot. It's her relationship with Manny and, the fights and basically freezing each other. Well, there's a reason for that because I'm going to go in depth about Emma and Manny's relationship in the famous episode, You So Jealous. All in all, it's just bricks in Emma's wall. Face it, Emma, you're much hated. We know that things kinda make you jaded. That's okay though, everyone goes through them. But you have to let people in your wall, putting up a wall is not what you really have to do. People will help you and make you overrated. It's just the bricks in Emma's wall. So basically, this is not about any season in particular. It's a accumulation video. Well, there's one more accumulation video coming up later on. But the fact of the matter is that Emma and Manny's friendship have taken massive turns. Massive turns. I found seven massive moments about Emma and Manny's friendship being very fractured and all that. Now, I get at times like, Emma and Manny have a good relationship with each other and help each other out and all that. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, and that, one person or the other screws it up. Mostly Emma. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that, I'm trying to justify Emma's actions with Manny. It's just that I have to be honest with you. So I'm going to try as best as I can to paraphrase things. Otherwise, you know my damn luck. All right. So I ranked them from 1 to 7. Now this is my own ranking and all that. I should have did it for the Degrassi Reddit poll and all that. But I think I did a top six. Yeah, I did a top six Emma Manny friendship problems. But anyway, let's go. Okay, so this is from least problematic to most problematic. All right, so number 7, which is the least problematic, do the fingers as I always do, is the college years, season 8 and 9. And we're thinking, how is Emma and Manny's relationship terrible in college years if they're close together? Well, it's just basically Emma for one thing. So at the start of season 8, they go to college. Manny is in a dorm, and so is Emma, but they're in different dorms, and they were supposed to be together as stated on the application. So Emma, instead of waiting for the college to maybe saying, "Oh crap, we made a mistake," and then fixing the situation, decides to take it upon herself to force Manny to be with Emma, and then somehow Liberty gets dragged into it. Although Emma said she just wanted Manny, not Liberty. Of course, that screams desperation and all that, because Emma probably doesn't think she's going to make it through. But then, those three will get a male roommate named Kelly, and everything looks decent. Of course, Manny and Liberty are upset by, Emma doing this stuff and realize that Emma basically just couldn't move on and all that with other friends. But Emma says she's trying to get out of her comfort zone. Of course, the friendship was questionable when Emma does the pot brownies, the Blaze storyline, trying to gain friends and trying to gain people around. Because, Kelly's friends were smoking pot, and Emma, after being called blonde and boring and vanilla, if you will, tries to change her image. Of course, this is not the first time that Emma takes a comment too seriously and decides to try to change her perceptions. So, anyhow, Manny and Liberty are worried about her. Of course, this is the last time Liberty appears on screen till the Degrassi Goes Manhattan movie. Nevertheless, Emma tries to fix the situation up, but then Emma then says how her friendship has collapsed in the episode Holiday Road. That basically she's alone, broke, and chasing friends instead of grades and all that. And then she tells Spike and Snake stuff, and then basically says that, with Manny off to Hollywood and Liberty pledging for a sorority, a fraternity, basically I'm all by myself. Which raises the big question: is like, is Emma actually alone in her dorm room? Wouldn't the college/university would fix the situation and put Emma in another room or have other people move in with Emma? But then again, I think it was around the time that Emma dropped out, and I think that's what Kelly alluded to. Of course, in years gone by, I've made a massive boo boo by saying that Liberty went to pre law. Technically, I'm wrong. Liberty pledged a fraternity, which means she goes to the frat house, which means that Emma's all by herself. Part of me thinks that Liberty, and Manny jumped at the first opportunity to leave Emma, but Manny and Emma kind of do communicate off screen. But I think that, it was just awkward. Okay. Number 6 is the whole zombie Emma plot and the Chris situation from season 4. Thinking, that's too low. Trust me, things are a whole lot different and all that. Even a few episodes earlier, things were worse. So let me elaborate. So Emma and Chris break up over the summer and all that. And then Emma feels like she has feelings for Chris. So what happens is that Manny decides to help Emma try to get Chris back. And Manny's the one who told Emma that Liberty wants Chris because Liberty is in math class, but then she ends up doodling Chris and Liberty, and all that. And says, and Emma's like, well, I don't want to be with Chris. What do you mean? Well, it's just that if he goes out with Liberty, what does that say about me? And then Manny says, wow, I can't believe you said that. And you've said some worse stuff. And that's practically the whole thing that I will talk about. I won't like spoil it, but she alludes to something, and that would be number 3. Nevertheless, Manny decides to tell Liberty everything, and Emma tries to get herself out of the situation, but she fails miserably. She ends up losing Manny and Liberty as a friend. Although it must be said, Manny might have wanted to reconcile with Emma, because at the pool, at the hot tub, she basically tells Liberty that Emma loves hot tubs. Should I invite her? And Liberty says she's fine. And Manny shrugs it off. I think she just wants to keep being with Liberty. That's good. Emma loses Manny as a friend and Liberty as a friend, and basically decides to go to Paige's clique to try to get friendship and to destroy Rick because she has a cause that she can fight for. Stick it to Manny and Liberty like she did in the women's bathroom. And then also to stick it to Raditch. Fight me on that. But the fact of the matter was that Emma finds out that the school uses her Orange Ribbon campaign to beat up on Rick and not to deal with the cause. And Emma, as the cause girl, decides to stop it. And then everyone in school ignores her. So basically, Emma's stuck with the Quiz Bowl team. And that's bad because you got two boys lusting after her. I don't care what you say. Toby was lusting after her. I mean, I can't blame Toby. He just wanted a relationship. But of course, Rick. So it's like when you look at Zombie Emma face, it's like, where's Manny and Liberty to help her out? Although it must be said in secret, the episode secret, they want to help Emma out. They invite her to things. They put her on the drama club and all that. They interact with her. But Emma's just not there. I think after realizing Emma nearly died thanks to Rick, Manny and Liberty decided to cut Emma a break and basically decide to help her out. So that was terrible how Emma lost Manny as a friend, and it almost cost her dearly. I think she tried to figure out that she needed to be with Manny as a friend. Because what would have happened if Emma had Manny as a confidant with the whole Rick situation? Things would have been a lot different. Anyway, number 5 is the cheerleader plot from season 1. You're thinking, that's not right. Well, here's what happens. So, of course, it's season 1, when Emma gets catfished. And then the Spirit Squad comes in, and Paige is saying that we're going to be okay and all that, and nobody can call us sexist because we got boys involved. But it doesn't matter with Emma. Emma says it's cheerleading. These girls are being paraded as sex objects, and guys are going to take advantage of them. I mean, she has a point. It's not about gender. It's about something sexual or something. Manny decides to join the Spirit Squad, thinking she's okay. Emma, I think, tries out, and she fails. And Emma, of course, is upset over everything. And then, of course, Manny gets on the Spirit Squad. Emma writes in an op-ed that everyone rips up because it would ruin the Spirit Squad and all that. Manny is unsure who to support, the cheerleaders or Emma. Basically, whose side she's on, Paige or Emma. So, of course, it's ironic that Emma wants to be on Paige's side. But the fact of the matter is that Emma does some bad stuff. And Manny. And the you're so jealous trope is there. Yeah. Emma, I think, was jealous that Manny got on the team and she didn't. And also the fact that Manny's getting attention, whereas Emma's not. But Emma was still with Sean until he pushed her away. Number 4 is the season 2 plot line. Hear me out. So anyway, Emma decides to, you know, try to do good things about the wedding. And she's planning it. She's the maid of honor and everything looks great. Unfortunately, Manny decides to take it upon herself to invite Sean to the nuptials. And of course, Sean and Emma had that problem when Sean shoved Emma and all that in season 1. So Emma freaks out. Her hair gets misset because Spike forgets all about it. There's a terrible cake. There's stuff that she's trying to fix the wedding. And then on top of that, Spike decides to tell Manny she's pregnant. Emma, she's pregnant. And Emma's like, fine, cool. Another kid, a sibling. But Spike's like, well, I'm going to get rid of it. Like, why would you do that? I just don't want a second mistake. Emma takes that very literally and angrily. Um, Manny is there with Emma and tells Emma, "Don't worry about it. Everything will be done in the morning, and you don't have to worry." And Emma says, "Butt up, Manny." And then Emma, in the middle of the night, goes to talk to Snake about the whole abortion thing. In the process, outing JT and Toby trying to um, capture footage of the stripper, but unfortunately for them, they fell asleep. So anyway, of course, Spike is upset with Emma, and Snake's like, "Well, I'm glad someone was an adult about the situation." I don't blame Snake for saying that. But then, Emma figured, "Oh no, I just ruined the wedding and all that. With Sean coming in and everything, I shouldn't go to this wedding. I I tried to help the wedding, but it blew up in my face." And Manny says, "Don't be such a baby about it, Emma. Everything will be fine." And Emma snaps, saying that a good friend would have helped me in this situation. Thanks a lot, Manny. But everything got fixed. Emma's happy and all that. She gets back together with Sean. Manny was trying to be the voice of reason, but Emma didn't want to listen for some reason. Number 3 on the list is the season 3 stuff with Manny trying to sexualize herself and the friendship soured. Now, this is nothing Emma did. Like, Emma may have done some bad in this, but this is the one major plot line in which Emma is not the culprit. It's Manny. Well, more so, I guess you can call it. So anyway, Manny hears about this guy named Sully who likes her and all that. And Manny's got a bit of a glow up. And then she tells everyone she doesn't want to be cute. Puppies and kittens are cute, but I want to be hot, not cute. Not adorable either. So Emma worries about Manny and all that, especially with Manny wearing those revealing outfits and causing JT to smash his head not once, but twice. So anyhow, Manny actually uses her sex appeal to help Emma's environmental thing. But Emma realizes this is the wrong attention. Even though she's getting people to the environmental club, she's just realizing that it's for all the wrong reasons and talks to Manny about things. And Manny gets mad at her saying, "It's all about you, isn't it? Every time things are about you, you blow up. I've helped you deal with Sean. I've helped you deal with the snake situation and this environmental club. Stupid environmental club," she says. And Emma says, "Not stupid." So Emma goes with Sully. Emma thinks that she should go out with JT, even though JT is luring after Manny in the same way Sully is. So, she's just looking out for Manny. Unfortunately, though, as the old sentence goes, is that Emma had the right idea, but poor execution for trying to help Manny. So, unfortunately, Manny and Emma are at odds with each other, but they're still kind of friends. And then when Emma wants to go after Chris, but realizes Chris has his girlfriend Miranda, she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do. So Manny, who goes with Craig to the rave and invites Emma, says, "You got to go after it." And Emma says, "I can't be that evil." So then she doesn't know what to do. She wants to help Chris out with Miranda because it's the right thing to do. Unfortunately for Emma, things don't work out, and then she walks home. She can't find Manny and Craig, as Manny and Craig actually went to Emma's house ahead of her and had sex on her bed in the basement. Well, of course, Emma moved to the basement because of Baby Jack. The fact of the matter for Emma is that she was furious and all of that. She caught them in bed and then basically says, "I'm sleeping on the floor so that you can see what you have done to me." So Emma and Manny have a talk the next day, and Manny says, "Emma, you went to the rave to help to get after Chris. You stayed to go after Chris." And Emma says, "I just couldn't do it. That would be too evil of you." And Manny says, "This is plain stupid." And Emma says, "You gotta think of this and all that. What's our friendship worth? And you can't sexualize yourself." And Manny's like, "Well, I choose my looks." And Emma says, "I can't believe you're breaking up with me as a friend." And Manny says, "I'd rather be hot than be stuck with a prude princess." Emma then goes after Manny, says, fine, I know we would be friends with the school slut. Basically slapping Manny in the process. Well, not literally, but figuratively. So it was just shock. And one of the times that Emma was in the right with the whole situation with Manny is that Emma had a right to snap back at Manny. Of course, the friendship doesn't last. Well, of course, the icing of each other happens with the whole pregnancy angle, which Manny is pregnant. Emma tries to help the situation, but Manny wants to get an abortion, even though that Emma says there's great adoption agencies and all that. And then when Craig is giving Manny a 10 lashing, why you would abort this baby, I think Craig may have gotten to the point that he's just like, I don't have family. My parents are both dead. One of them, good riddance to bad rubbish. You know, and all that. I don't, and he doesn't treat Joey like family or Angie. What am I going to do? Emma then steps into the argument and tells Craig, I agree with you. Manny should not abort the baby, but it's her body and her choice. And if I wasn't her best friend, I'd be furious. And Manny's shocked that Emma would actually stand up to her, to Craig. Emma realizes everything, and Manny's shocked that Emma would lower her standards. Say what you want, but I think that somehow, in some way, Spike, knowing about Manny's pregnancy, may have talked to Emma about it. You need to protect your friend. I don't think Emma would have realized all that stuff by herself. Number two is the whole if you leave philosophy from season 6. So, anyway, Manny and Emma is still living at Emma's after those events of season 5 and all that. And then all of a sudden, Liberty's having issues. She wants to be with JT, but JT's with Mia. And unfortunately, that's leading to a Degrassi Lakehurst rivalry. So actually, Manny, over trying to get over losing Craig again, decides to throw Liberty a birthday party. And people come through word of mouth. Thanks a lot, Derek and Danny. Unfortunately, Lakehurst people come in, and thankfully, Jimmy and Spinner throw them out, in effect. JT, of course, realizes he should be with Liberty instead of Mia. Say what you want, but I think he had it in the back of his head. Maybe if I leave Mia and be with Liberty, maybe this whole Lakehurst Degrassi feud would be over. And I wouldn't blame him one bit. So anyway, he tries to look for Liberty. Unfortunately, Drake Lampley, the redhead, stabs him in the back, puncturing his aorta, and he bleeds out. Johnny DeMarco is upset over it. Of course, Drake's in jail. Johnny DeMarco is still traumatized, but I think he made a deal to oust Drake Lampley. And what about Nick? A lot of people are like, what about Nick? I think in my headcanon that Nick got in trouble because maybe there was a conspiracy to hurt JT. Not kill him, but hurt him. And Nick was basically thrown in juvie or whatever. Or Johnny probably told on him. Nevertheless, Emma in the episode If You Leave tries to externalize her problems about JT's death and all that. And then she finds out that Manny's mom comes in and talks to Manny about moving back in because she thinks that Manny's in a bad situation thanks to what happened to JT's death, being stabbed. Emma, of course, is upset that Manny would leave her high and dry. Tries to get Manny to stay, but can't. Manny says, we'll still hang out, we'll still be friends and all that. But Emma is not too pleased with it. Coupled with the fact that, she finds an audience of people who will listen to her ramblings, practically Mia and Sean. She tries to get Manny to realize things. They even said about talk with um, Manny and Damien with Emma and Sean. And Damien says, I'm sorry about your friend, but what can I do? And Mia says, hang on, aren't you close to Drake Lampley? I thought the line was, aren't you close with Drake and his family? Isn't your family close to his family? What have you heard? But basically, it was like, Damien, you're close to Drake Lampley. And Drake and Damien stutters. And then Manny blows off at Emma saying, you just can't let things go, can you? I'm glad I'm moving back home. I don't want to be living with you. Unfortunately, Emma sees red. And also with the whole Lakehurst thing at Degrassi with the cheerleading. She said, we need to cancel this. And Snake says, the logistics aren't there. We can't cancel because everything's been planned. He's got a point, but Emma will not rest until everyone sees her point. And then she causes a fracas with the whole Lakehurst cheerleading thing. Degrassi wins the competition, which is like, I think Degrassi should have been DQ'd. So anyway, Manny's upset that Emma just couldn't let it go. Emma says, well, it doesn't matter now. You helped Degrassi win the competition. You're the hero, Manny. And then Jamie makes a snarky comment about the fact that Manny's a saint for putting up with Emma's garbage because she's the only one who would. Sean takes offense to it, as Sean in season 6 would. Pre-season 6, Sean probably would not have taken Emma's crap like that. So basically, they start a fight. Emma gets detention. I thought she would have got suspended for that. But Emma's not letting the issue go. Snake says, you gotta let this issue go. Says, everyone's moving on from JT Steph, and I'm pissed. And then it's like, to me, when you look at it, it's like, how does she care about JT so much? But then it's there in black and white. Basically, this whole thing is about Manny. Manny moving on, and Emma feeling she's going to lose Manny forever. Fortunately, though, Emma does fix the problem with Manny. And Manny says, why did you make me the bad guy? Emma's like, well, I was just mad and all that. But here's the thing. I only sympathize with Emma because, the incident happened steps from her house at a party that should never have been thrown with Spike and Snake out of the house. Emma had immense guilt and it manifested itself in her trying to find things out. Anyway, and number one, the worst Emma Manny thing is, well, why would it be any different? Season 5. Reason being is the whole situation. So Manny goes to a party with Emma. Emma has eyes on Peter because, as she said, Peter's the first boy she's ever lusted after since Hurricane Sean blew through her emotional trailer park, which practically means that it confirms what people think. In season 4, that when Sean left for Wasaga to deal with his PTSD, Emma was upset. She wanted to be with Sean. I mean, he saved her life. Lots of people do that. When people save their lives, they feel compelled to be with these guys. Nevertheless, they go to a party and all that. Manny leaves Emma and goes with Peter, and then of course Peter sees Manny flashing herself and all that. Unfortunately, the video goes viral at Degrassi because Peter blackmails Manny into giving him $3,000. Manny wants to and cancels the plastic surgery, but the surgery goes back on her father's card. So practically, Manny is like upset. She couldn't get the cash to unframe himself from Peter. But unfortunately, Peter does all this. Although Manny tries desperately to have Peter be with Emma, but fails. Emma pulls off on Manny, not because of the video, but because of where the video was, saying that you're trying to steal Peter from me. Emma, that's not the point. I'm trying to find a boy to get over my issues. I think Emma's trying to say. But you are ruining it. So, she's mad at Manny. Fortunately, though, Emma calms down and invites Manny to stay over at her place because Manny's parents kick her out for being a slut and Manny not backing down by saying she won't be acting and all that. Her dad had a right to freak because, I mean, the surgery would have been back on his credit card. He would have seen the charges and he's like, what's going on? Part of me also thinks that Manny's mom, who was okay with the whole surgery thing, may have done that to Manny and basically backstabbed Manny because she's so submissive to Joseph. Nevertheless, Manny moves in with Emma and it feels good. Unfortunately, though, it's a toxic environment, especially when Emma inadvertently breaks up Spike and Snake. I mean, Snake had an innocent kiss with Hasselackles, and Snake takes caution trying to tell Emma, don't say anything to your mom. Of course, Spike is upset, mostly due to the fact that she was upset that Snake would ask Emma to keep it secret, to internalize things. Unfortunately, though, Emma's now have to pick up more of the chores and all that with Snake out of the house, and she's falling flat. She's falling flat at school, and of course, she's keeping the relationship she has with Peter a secret from Manny for obvious reasons. Unfortunately, though, she tells Manny she's seeing Peter mostly because of the whole eating disorder thing, and I don't really want to get too much into. But the fact is, Manny asks Emma to help her lose a few pounds for a role, and you know That's fine and all that. But Emma sees this as an opportunity to try to change her life and to change and to basically gain control of herself because she still has not gotten over the shooting in my mind. And a lot of people agree with me, I think. The fact of the matter is that, Manny wants to out Emma's eating disorder. But Emma says, fine, I'm dating Peter. That's why I'm having anxiety. Are you happy now? And Manny's like, well, I'm leaving the next day. You can have your fun. But Peter then goes to Manny and says, I know we have had bad issues, but I'm worried about Emma. And then they set up an intervention in which Emma blows off at everybody, calling Manny a drunk chick. And then Emma, upset at Manny, told their secret, basically wants to throw Manny out. Get out, get out, get out. But in her rage, she has a massive panic attack. And then she goes to the hospital. She's fine. And then she's told to gain the weight back. And Emma does it for Manny, that she will get rid of her eating disorder and all that. It's just horrible. And part of me thinks that Emma was happy that Manny was living under her roof because if Manny objects to Emma's stuff, then Emma can just kick her out. I think Emma was just trying to gain control of Manny. I know in an alternate universe, basically, Manny tells Emma, you're so jealous. And Emma says, fine. You know what? Yes, I am jealous. I love you, Manny Santos. I want to have a relationship with you. But of course, that's in an alternate universe. Probably Emma wants to have a relationship with Manny. Men don't work for me. You're the only one that makes me sane and all that. I want a relationship. But Emma, I'm straight. Doesn't matter. I'll do whatever it takes. Be in a polyamorous relationship. But as I said, this is an alternate universe. Because it comes off as Emma probably wanting to strike up something with Manny more than a friendship. Some people think that way. I don't. But anyway, yeah, Emma and Manny's friendship was just terrible and all that. There were only a few times Manny was at fault, and Emma had the right idea, but poor execution. That's all I'm gonna say. And thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond. There's one more coming up next week. This will be the final episode. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.